Have you ever benefited from reckless generosity? I don't mean someone in front of you in line at Starbucks paid for your latte. That's awesome, obviously. One of the best days of my life when that happened. But I'm talking about actions that maybe meant a little more. Something that really showed you that someone was willing to sacrifice for you. When we first moved our family to Connecticut a few years ago, we were on a very tight budget living on mission support, and we didn't have money to do extra things in the summer, to go places, and anything that cost money, we just couldn't do it. But we were given an incredible gift of a family season pass to Six Flags over New England, which happened to be about 20 minutes up the road from us. And we enjoyed that so much. We were able to go about once a week and take the kids through the summer and just hang out at the water park, play in the lazy river, ride some rides. It was awesome. And it was an act of generosity on behalf of someone we didn't know at the time. I later found out that the people who gave us this generous gift were not wealthy people. In fact, they were on a tight budget as well, living very simply just as we were. And when I learned that, it blew me away. The love, the compassion, the kindness, the sacrifice of that gift, to me it was reckless. And it made a huge impact on my life. It's something that I want to repeat and pay forward to other people. Maybe you've had that experience. Maybe you've been a person who has recklessly given to another person. I know that happens quite frequently here in our church family. I know that not long ago many of you gave sacrificially so that students in our church could go to CIY, Christian retreat camp up in Holland, Michigan with Justin. That's a $300 ticket for a student to go, and we had many students who wanted to go but couldn't afford the ticket, and many of you stepped up and paid their way, and it was a great example of reckless generosity. I know that our church is recklessly generous. It's part of who we are. It's in our DNA. And I'm so grateful to be a part of a church that has that built in to our identity. So thank you for your generosity. So before I ask you to consider giving more, make sure that you hear me say, I am so proud of the generosity of our church family. Our finances are in good shape. We are looking forward to paying off our mortgage very soon, here in a couple years. And we work hard to not spend more than we bring in on a monthly basis. But we have some really big expenses coming up, some things that really need to be done in order for us to continue to do the work that God has put us here to do in this community. One of those is our roof is now 19 years old, and it's starting to show signs of wear. So we need a new roof, and we're going to be doing that soon. Many of you are also aware that the sound issues in our worship center continue to cause problems for people. There are places where it's really loud and places where it's really quiet, and it's difficult for many people to have an engaging worship experience because of the sound issues just caused by poor acoustics and not a good enough system here in this room. And so if we're going to fix that, it's going to cost us a good bit of money. So I want to just ask you to continue to be generous and maybe even consider being more generous than what you have been. If your family has agreed on an amount that you're giving, would you consider adding a percentage point to that? And if you're giving 10, could you give 11? If you're giving 6, could you give 7? We believe that God honors our sacrificial giving. And it's an opportunity for you to participate in the incredible work that God is doing here in this community. God is reaching people through the gospel in this community, but we still have a long way to go. We still believe that about half the people in our community don't know Jesus. And God has put us here for that reason. And so you get to participate in that as you give generously. And so I just want to ask you, can you be recklessly generous? God has been recklessly generous to you. That's why you're here today, is because God wanted a relationship with you, but sin got in the way. And so he sacrificially, generously gave the life of his own son so that you could have forgiveness of sin and hope of heaven. God has been recklessly generous to you. And you and I get a chance to reflect that, to pay that forward, to be recklessly generous back to Him and to His kingdom. So I just want to ask you to consider, would you take a minute and pray about this with your family today and say, God, can we give a little more? Do we trust you that you're going to continue to provide for us if we demonstrate reckless generosity to you and your kingdom? Think about that. Thank you again for your generosity in the past, and we look forward to what God is going to do through your generosity in the future.